everyone, welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook. If you're looking at the bearded one, it must be Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. We are at 2 p.m. out in Hawaii, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning out in Indonesia, and anywhere between 9 a.m. and noon out in Australia. So welcome everybody to the show. If you have not seen me before, my name is Tom Springer. I'm the host of Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook. If you're a return customer, welcome back. Thank you for coming back. Tonight, I do have on a very special guest that I've been trying to get on for a while, but schedules on my side kind of stopped me from getting her on, but I was able to reel her in this time. She is known as the Nonnaboss, but for the rest of us who know her, she is also known as Marti Argentino. So everyone say hi to Marti. Hi, Marti.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing great.
So of course, we have a couple of hellos. There's my wife saying hello.
Hi, Nicole.
And then Stuart is saying hello to us all the way from Texas.
Hi,
Hey, Stuart. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. This is Uilani Ku'ule, also known as Mary from Hawaii.
Mary.
So
I'm going to go with Mary.
That's what most I love saying
Mary.
her now because I figured out how to say her actual name, so I say it now as much as I can. Yep. And then we have Rosie saying hello as well, and Kathy's here saying hello to everybody. Hi, Kathy. How you doing? So I like to always tell people how we met. And actually, you were one of my Facebook stalks that seem to happen quite often. You popped up as, thank you, I appreciate that, because now I can say it really fast. But you popped up as a friend request because I guess we had so many other people that we were tied to as Facebook friends.
Mm-hmm.
And despite how, when I get a request, I still go in and look at the person. And luckily for me, I don't have to go too far as going into your background or anything else. When I look at you, I can actually read the energy off of you. And it was such a fantastic energy.
Aw, thank you.
And I was like, okay, look, this lady and I have to be friends. So I friended you, and here you are. So you and I said hello, and now you're on my show, and this is fantastic.
Yeah.
We have more people popping in to say hi, so let's say hi to Melody. Melody's out there in Hawaii as well.
Hey, Melody. Aloha.
And this is why I do the time zones, is because so many people from around the world watch. So that's why you hear me go through the time zones this way, because everyone's trying to do this. Oh, Zachy. Oh, brother. Try to listen while you root for LSU. Man, yesterday was a rough day, wasn't it? Oh, my goodness. Some people's kids, I know they just wanted that game to get over so they can get rest and move on to today. I know. I feel your pain. So, but thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here again.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Yes,
Anytime.
fantastic. And then Jolene's kicking in to say hi.
Hey, Jolene.
And I didn't share this with you before, but I will share it with you now. And the audience knows this. They've put up with me long enough. They know how this works. If you hear me, and when I post a message like I did for Zachy's and I read it out, a lot of the times is because it's someone asking a question or someone making a statement that I want the audience to know. But a lot of our audience does not watch. They only listen with headphones because they're at work or whatever else. So that's why you hear me read it out before I ask you to answer it or whatever else. Hey, Zachy, I know Nebraska wins right where I live. You do realize that the College World Series is literally right up the road for me. We can be there in 10 to 15 minutes to the stadium based off of traffic. Yeah. So we are that close to where where the College World Series is actually held. So, but anyways, again, thank you for coming on. I absolutely love talking to you and following you online. You know what? I'm actually going to start with that because I want people to know this right away and start doing this right away. So there's her information. You can find Marti Argentino on YouTube under @Nonnaboss Continuum. For Instagram, it's @the Nonnaboss, and TikTok, it's @the Nonnaboss. So go out there, like, follow, share, all that wonderful stuff you're supposed to do. You will notice that when you go out there, you're going to come across her videos, you're going to cross her information, and it is all absolutely wonderful. This is one of those things that if you are inspired or you need something to look at every day to go, okay, this is how I need to start my morning. Just listen to her message or whatever else. This is where you go do it at. So just so you people understand, this is how you start your day off. So, but again, thank you. And I'm going to post this into the comment sections so everyone has it. I have a new one. Here's a time frame I don't say. Where did I? Hi, Virgil. Welcome from England. So it's great having you here, brother. How you doing?
Now you have to add a time zone.
Add a time zone. I know, right? Yeah. But yeah, so you and I met basically through Facebook, and you and I have talked back and forth and just kind of hung out and done this kind of stuff. But no one on here outside of me, unless they just follow along with you. Hey, Bobby, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Good to see Bobby here. Bobby's basically my brother.
Hi, Bobby.
He's part of my last investigation team that he was basically ran. So it's really good to see him on here. I love it when he pops in here to say hi. But I've kind of read your whole backstory and taught you and everything else. But would you do me a favor and introduce yourself, kind of what you do? Because my members don't actually read the article I put out for the person.
Do you know I read it every single time?
Really? That's really good. It's lengthy, though. It's lengthy.
I know, but it's worth it.
A lot of people look on and go, who's on the name? Okay, cool. I'll go watch that one. Yeah. And that's about as far as I get. But introduce who you are, what you do, and how you kind of got into what you do.
Yeah, I do a lot of things on my on my channel. We talk about paranormal. We talk about ETs and UFOs and weird 3 alphabet soup stuff that happens. Sometimes we talk about that, and sometimes we talk about all kinds of cryptids. Dogman, Sasquatch, right? You name it. How I got into all of this is I've been a lifelong experiencer with the paranormal and ET type things, and so I've always dealt with those things, and I've always been drawn to them, pulled to them. I always watch every single paranormal show and paranormal investigating show. That was me. My kids used to just try to prank me constantly because they thought it was hilarious because I would jump and, freak out. And so my son and I had went actually how we really got into it. My son and I had went on an expedition put on by Stacy Brown in Mayaca down here in Florida.
Yep.
And it was a weekend, it was like a Friday through Sunday kind of thing. And and we were both really nervous about it. We're like, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And Stacy was like, we might see an orb or something.
Right.
And we were like, all right, we're down with orbs. We're good. And we showed up, and everyone was just amazing. And it was just a lot of fun, and everything happened that weekend that you could ever imagine. The only thing we didn't see was we didn't see an actual Sasquatch, but we had audio. We heard,
you had the howling, it had the banging.
Yeah. And they were, something, because I got to say something because we didn't see it, but something was literally throwing little pine cones at our tent the entire night. We have that on audio. We found, footprints. I had a rock thrown at me. I was coming back to the camp. Everybody else, there were 2 groups, and they were in different areas. I'm coming down the trail, coming back to camp. I'm tired. I need a rest. And I have it on. It's actually on my channel. It was the very first short I ever put on my channel, and it's called Mayaca Rock Throw. And literally, I was videoing my friend and talking to her on this video call thing, and it just comes sailing through. It just comes sailing across my head. It was hilarious. So I have that actually on there, and it just kind of went from there. We found hair. They also have a little old house from the 1800s that's also there on the property. It's also very haunted, and We did a bunch of like paranormal stuff in there, and we caught, EVPs in there. Like it just, the whole thing. The only thing that didn't happen, we never saw an orb.
Yeah.
Right? Everything else happened. We saw a UFO. We saw, like, it was crazy. So that was it for us, Matt and I both. We were like, all right, that's it. This is awesome.
Yeah. So you got to do me a favor. So because people don't know this yet, at least on unless they're following you already, the people on my channel don't know this yet, but we're going to share this with them right now. You are going to have on Bill Slevin.
Yes.
On your show, and people know Bill Slevin from my show because he's been on my show like 4 times, and he's fantastic. Well, Marty just met Bill and didn't realize that Bill and I were friends because she and Bill actually live right by each other.
We're probably 10 minutes.
But you have to do me a favor. When you start talking to Bill, bring up orbs.
Bring up orbs?
Orbs. He hates people who take pictures of orbs and claim that everything is an orb. He's like, everything is not an orb. It is not. And he is like so angry when people talk about orbs that when he was on my show Thursday with the whole crew, we spent like 10 minutes harassing him about orbs. About orbs.
And like, what's funny? To this very day, I have never seen an orb.
Right? He says, he'll tell you, he goes, I have seen more demons than I have actual orbs. And I've only seen like 1 demon. So, oh, look, there's our friend Zhang. Hi, Zhang. Hi, Zhang. This is when I tell you Indonesia, this is my Indonesia time frame right here. So Zhang has been with me since I think my very first show. So I love Zhang for coming in. I call Zhang my little sister. But yeah, so hi Zhang, thanks for watching, thanks for coming in. But yeah, so it's funny though because you're gonna have Bill on without even knowing that we were friends at first.
And not just that, I didn't even know he was famous.
Right. And it's funny.
He sends me a friend request, and like I said, I'm always checking people before I accept a friend request. So I'm looking at his profile and I'm like, oh, he's paranormal investigator. Oh, awesome. Oh my goodness. He's right here in Florida. Like he's right here. And I'm like, I'll reach out and just see if maybe I can get him to come on. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll come on.
He's been on TV shows. He's been in movies. He's been in magazines.
He sends me his bio.
Oh my goodness,
him for his bio. He sends me the bio and I went,
right?
And I messaged him back. I'm like, you didn't tell me you were famous.
Yeah,
he goes, I've been around a while.
Yeah, he's
humble, 30, so sweet.
30-something years. Fantastic, just a fantastic guy. But I'm telling you, and the audience will back me up on this. When you have him on there, you got to keep him focused. Otherwise, he'll go nerdy and he'll start doing technical talk. And I'll tell you what, the worst thing to do is to be nerdy on my show and technical with me. Because I'm just as technical and nerdy, and we lose like half the crowd. Their eyes glaze over. They just wait for the next topic. They wait for our scroll moment. Okay, and we're back.
Yeah, but you know what? I love the technical stuff, and that is one thing on my channel. You'll see, like, if people come to my channel, I did a show. I had a tracker. I wanted to talk about tracking. I wanted to talk about drones and how to operate drones. And I sometimes get super technical. I will have somebody, Alex Pedikov. I mean, everybody, every other interview I've ever seen Alex ever give, it's all about, all the, just like, experience and whatever. And I'm like, what do you want to talk about? And he's like, I love filming. I'm like, well, then let's talk about it. Let's do it.
Virgil, that is absolutely a yes. Questions are encouraged. You can ask all the questions you want.
100%.
Are you friends with Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know if you had her on or not.
Yep, I've had Jessica on several times. And then her and I did Matt and I went to Georgia last fall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You investigated with her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep, we spent a weekend with her.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, she's a good interview as well. She has some really good stories.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, and she has a couple of really good locations that we cannot discuss online. Right. But she has a couple of very good locations as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, she tried to hide the investigation locations from me, but I I am the worst person to try to hide something from because I am investigation fiend. I will look for heat sources through map imagery and everything else. You even
And you can figure it out.
you even give me anything close to a coordinate, and you're done.
And you're done. That's
Find
it.
you. So, but
Well, I mean, let me ask you then. I have a question for you. This is
sure,
my gut. This is, like me, my brain, right? We're talking
yep,
about like, oh, something triggers, right?
right.
Okay, so excuse me. I am so sorry. I got really sick over New Year's, and my voice has still not ever recovered. Like it still goes in and out on me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Um, so when you do your little remote review thing that you do, that thing that you can do, do you need, like, can somebody give you a blind target? Because like Jessica does she likes to do blind targets.
It's interesting because I don't know. Let's put it that way. I don't know how I do what I do. I told you beforehand. I have no clue how I do what I do.
Yeah.
Basically, a lot of it, I have no idea. I still don't know how I do a lot of the stuff that I've been doing for a year and a half.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I maybe that's the best I can tell you because it seems like
Well,
it's really weird because some people would be like, "Hey, I have this ability," and all of a sudden, like one of my spirit guides would go, "You can do that. Watch this," and then like all of a sudden, in like 5 minutes, I know how to do that, and I'm like, "Oh, interesting. I can do that too." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just learned." And they're like, "Wait, what?" And then I'll do something, and they're like, "That's really weird. How do you do that?" Like, I don't know.
yeah.
So I don't know how I do what I do, but like I said, when a Zhang, I brought you up earlier, Sunshine, when you were asking about who was walking by your side and some of the places you went to, and I told you it was your dad, and I was able to remote view all the way over to where you were at that time, and I was able to see it. So I don't know. It was just an instantaneous,
Just happens.
moment hit that said, "This is what you're looking at, and this is what you're seeing, and this is what you're feeling, and this is who she's feeling. So give her the answer." And I went, "Okay." So I did. So the answer is I don't know. Maybe. I haven't had to try.
Yeah, I mean, well, because she, on her Patreon, because I'm a member of her Patreon.
Okay.
And I love it. I love it because she always puts her raw data there. But there have been times when she has put blind targets up for us to try.
Right. Well, I can tell you that when she talked and she was saying, "So the field we use looks like this," I knew exactly where she was. I could see it as she talked about it. And I started describing stuff back to her. And I was explaining where trees were, like where they were located at compared to where they were at, and where they go into that field and everything else. And she was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, I know where you're at." She's like, "Okay." So, but it was just instantaneous. It was just a spur of the moment type. She was talking, and then my
we had a very
mind's eye opened up and said, "This is what she's looking at. Here's where these." And I was explaining. I'm like, "Well, there's 3 right here on the left, and they're back behind the edge of the field. But then you have a big open spot, and then you have a whole row." She's like, "Yeah." So, yeah. So it was interesting to just. But again, I'm still naive enough to think that all of us can do that. And she's like, "No."
No,
I'm
we
like,
can't.
"Oh."
Well, I mean, the one that, the location that she, that we were there with her, it was very overwhelming for me. They got out of the truck first, and I was driving, and I was kind of fiddling with whatever. And I finally opened my door, and I just kind of like slid out, and my feet hit the ground. And I thought, I was like, whoa. It was like a wall of energy hit me, and I was nauseous. I thought I was going to pass out. I mean, I literally.
It's a very high energy location.
Yeah. And I mean, I had to, like, I was like, "Matt, get me a chair. Like, I need to sit down." Like, I'm like, I was so dizzy. I mean, it was like, it felt like the energy was a vortex. Like, it was just like swirling and swirling.
That's a fantastic word to use for it. Yes.
And I got me and the chills. It was so overwhelming to me physically, that because unfortunately with my gift, it's like it's all physical with me. Everything manifests itself in a physical way. In and then the other part is it's just a sense of knowing. Like I'll just know something. Like I
Right.
just will know. Like, you know,
That's how a lot
don't
of
go
mine
down
is.
that street, but go down this street, you know, like
Yeah, it's almost like that sixth sense kicking into you, kind of like,
yeah.
yeah, yep,
Yeah, so that was a very strange, you know, night, and had some, you know, like I can sense energy. I can, especially with Sasquatch, like I know when they're around, and I can even generally say where they are.
right,
And I can usually say if it's a male or if it's a female or if it's a juvenile or if it's the head honcho,
right.
because that happened to me with Jessica the night we were out with Jessica.
Mm.
There were 3 of them. They were waiting for us.
Yeah,
They didn't like move in on us. They were already there.
yeah,
And it was a very, you know, they started kind of like 2 of them moving around, and it was just like,
Hmm.
you know, they were hot. Well, basically what it was is this. They wanted to know who they were. It was kind of like, who the heck are you and what are you doing here? A
yeah,
very matter of fact, who the heck are you
right.
and what are you
Why are
doing
you
here?
here? Yeah, why are you here?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And
yep,
then it was a very, you know, but I can't say that they were aggressive,
yeah.
but
Curious,
I spent the entire time trying to like communicate with them. Like I knew they were hearing me, but they absolutely were refusing to communicate back.
right.
And then, but I kept saying to them over and over and over, like, look, we're only here just to, you know, to learn for higher learning. We're, you know, we mean you nothing but respect. And so I have my eyes closed and I'm just trying to communicate with these guys, right? Well, the one main guy.
Yeah,
And as the anxiety started to lift and I could breathe a little bit better, I was like, okay, they're calming down. And right about that moment is when I just felt this other energy come in from someplace. I don't even know. We were kind of sitting like in a triangle, and it like whooshed in between Jessica and I and was like in my face.
hmm.
And so I'm feeling this and I go to open my eyes and then I hear the 2 of them, Matt and Jessica, going, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that?" And I'm like, "Hear what?" And they heard like a grunt growl come
Oh,
from someplace.
yeah.
And then they both saw orbs.
Oh,
She saw one and he saw one. And I'm going, my eyes is closed. I'm trying to talk to this guy over here because he's being a grumpy guy. He's
yeah,
Mr. Grumpy Pants. And I'm trying to calm him down. And it's like these 2 are like, yeah, we saw this, heard that, da, da, da. And I'm like, no fair.
yeah. You're like, my eyes were closed. Come on, people.
My eyes are closed. I'm
Do
not
this when
done straight.
do this when my eyes are open. So let's go to Virgil's question.
Yes. What was
So
this
Virgil
question?
says, some believe the fairies to be spirits of the dead, while some
Mhm.
believe them to be fallen angels. Though the exact provenance of fairies is unknown, the idea of fairy is very dear to the English folklore. Since centuries, fairies have been painting the imagination of children and adults alike with their benevolence, notoriety, and magical powers. What do you guys think?
I do not, my own personal belief, I do not believe that they are spirits of the dead. I do not believe that they are fallen angels. I believe they are their own thing. I do believe that there's all different types, there's all different kinds, shapes, sizes. At my house, not where I live right now, but where I used to live, where Matt's at, um, that house, we have fairies all the time. We have
Yeah,
fairy activity all the time. And I had no idea though. I had this big avocado tree, this huge, it was very, very old. I don't even know. It was probably more than 20-year-old tree. And it was having issues and there was something wrong with it. And I kept having it sprayed and I kept having it you know, trying to take care of it, like trying to get it to get healthy again. And it just wasn't really doing well. And so I'm like, well, we're going to have to take it down. Well, when we took it down, 3/4 of the inside was hollowed out.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, ever since we had to take the tree down, because here in Florida, you can't have hollow, unstable trees next to your house. You just can't, because of hurricanes, especially.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So I had to take it out. It was a necessity. It wasn't something that, you know, you know, I'm a tree hugger. I will save any tree if I can.
Right.
But ever since we had to remove that tree, they're gone. They're no longer there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe that's the reason there was an issue with the tree. I don't really know, but ever since we took that tree down, they're gone. And we miss them. And we actually miss them.
Yeah. And so, Virgil, I will tell you, it really depends on who you talk to. I have a friend of mine who she sees them, she talks to them, she hears themselves, and she will let you know that they are not all love and sunshine. It depends on what species of a fairy, I guess is the best way to say it, on whether they are good or just, I don't want to say evil, but mischievous.
They're mischievous.
And that's kind of how that runs. But I don't believe them to be spirits of the dead. I don't even believe them to be from this realm at all. So
I would agree with that.
There's that one line in Hook that Tinkerbell always says, and she says, "You're not place in between awake and asleep where something happens. That's where you always find me." And that's kind of where that realm, I believe, exists. It's right in between there somewhere. I've been doing that to her all night. But yeah, so I believe that they exist. I do not believe they are spirits of the dead or fallen angels. I believe they are real, but I believe that I think if they show themselves to you, there's a purpose for it. They're not just going to be in everyone's backyard. There has to be a reason for them to be there. If they are there, then, and if you're in a location like that tree where they possibly lived, then there's a reason they're on that location. And I think it's because of the energy that place has. That's my 2 cents on that. So, in a very short nutshell. So
I agree.
Zachy has made a statement here, and he says, "Funny how you run into different peeps all over the WWW. He's been stalking and see that you, Marty, is an admin of Blondes and Booze, which you follow thanks to my broadcast." So, yeah, it's weird how we all run into each other around the block. I mean, we're worldwide, but it's a really small group. If you think of how many people are out there on all the different TikTok, Facebook, Clapper, YouTube, whatever else you want to go to, how we run in the same circles, and we'll run into each other at one point or another if you allow yourselves to open up to that person or people,
right?
If they resonate with you. So, yeah, so it's interesting.
But that's the perfect word, if they resonate with you, because there have been, like some people that I've kind of like reached out to, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm not so sure about I was kind of like, and it never failed. I would like book that person that I was kind of like about it. Like it never fails. There will be something that will come up, and they're like, I got to back out, or this or that.
Decision for you. Yep. It makes that decision for you.
Yeah.
Primal tells us that fairies wear boots, and we got to believe her.
Oh, I believe you. I love you.
And then
I miss you, Primal Cry.
Zachy asks, can fairies be picked up on trail cameras or Ring doorbell cams? I still need to build a fairy garden one of these days.
Actually, Amber has some interesting footage that I'm thinking I think they're fairies.
I believe they can, but I think they have to have purposely let themselves be videoed or captured in that type of photo. I think that there is more, again, if they're in your area, there's more to the meeting than them just being there. Right. So I think if you capture one, it's not a fluke. I think it's on purpose. I think it's it's a message to you that you're just not paying attention to. It's maybe there's something else that you're having a hard time understanding or believing. So they give you well, if I'm real, then this can possibly be real too.
Right.
A little glimpse type of thing, something that jars you in that direction, which is why they made themselves prevalent to you. So yes, that's my.
I'm on board with all that.
Amen
to that, brother.
Zhang is asking Marty, do crop circles really happen from UFOs?
I don't know. I think they do. I know. I grew up in the cornfields of Indiana, right?
Yep.
And I saw a lot of strange lights. I saw a lot of craft. My mother used to call it sleepwalking, that I would sleepwalk all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But she could never figure out how I would end up outside. And remember those little chain things that you used to put on the door on the inside, yeah. The little thing you slide it over with the chain?
Yep.
You couldn't figure out how I would end up outside the house, but the chain be on.
Huh. Interesting.
So,
and it's funny because you have literally just jarred a memory that I have. I don't know why I don't remember it. I have an eidetic memory, so I remember stuff from like way, way, way back when I was little. But you just jarred a memory by saying that I did not remember until you just said it, that I used to sleepwalk when I was younger. And I would always sleepwalk to the front door, and I would open the door, and I would just look outside up into the sky. And I always had to be led back to bed, and they would tell me about it in the morning. I did not remember that. Last time I remember being told about that was probably before I was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It happened when I was very young. I just woke. I sleepwalked to the door. I opened it up, and I always looked up into the sky, and I would just stand there for like 15, 20 minutes. And then they just gently take me back to bed and put me in bed. And they tell me in the morning, and then in the morning, like, did you have a dream? And I'm like, I don't know. They'd ask me all the questions. I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, well, you sleepwalked again. I'm like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And I just knew I sleepwalked.
And my mom used to be really freaked out too, because not only was I like outside, but like we lived on it was like a townhouse. So it was an upstairs and a downstairs.
Yeah.
And she would just constantly be like, one of these days you're not gonna know what you're doing, and you're gonna break your neck on the stairs.
Oh yeah.
So I made it from upstairs down, not just downstairs, but outside. But you know what? My son, Matt, the one that got all into this with me,
right?
He also was a sleepwalker.
Oh, interesting.
It stopped with me. It stopped with me when my parents, we moved down to Florida, and that was in 1980. I'm not going to say how old I was, but but I've been here a really long time, but that's when it stopped for me. Yeah. And I didn't start having any other contact or anything else happen until my sons were born. That's when it started back up again.
Triggered, yeah. It's interesting because I have no idea why I stopped, and I don't even know why that was a memory I didn't have until just now. Like why it was blocked for me, I have no clue. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few days now that I have that memory back.
Yeah.
And Janet's going back to the Fae, and she says they love banana plants, and they have hundreds of them. So,
do you know right next to the tree that I had to take out were 2 banana trees?
Oh, really?
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for that.
And Rosie is now thanking me, saying that because I introduced your show to her, she now has 5 different podcasts to watch.
Oh, wonderful.
Rosie, just trying to keep your day going. That's all. That's all it is.
That's right. We got to keep you busy. Idle hands, Rosie.
Virgil is asking, he loved E.T. when he was such a cute little guy. We just wanted to go home. Do you believe in aliens? I am not naive enough to believe that we are the only ones in all the universes that exist.
I 100% believe in them.
Yep. I just can't believe that we are it
Yeah.
Especially since I had a starseed reading done. So
A starseed reading. Oh, see, now that I'd love that. I would love to
I
have
can
that.
put you in touch with the person who does it. So
Okay.
after the show, I'll give you all the information you need for that.
I'm going to make a note.
So, yep. So Stuart asked earlier what's on my shirt. It says 5 out of 4 people struggle with math. So, and it's a true statement. I know my wife is a math teacher.
And I am all 5 of those people. I can assure you.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Janet says they always had a search party looking for her when she was a child. Yep. So Ajang says that night I accidentally looked up into the sky. There was no moon, but I saw an axis of fire rotating around a circle. I asked my son to take a picture immediately. The next morning appeared on the television news, a crop circle in central Java. It happened in one night, according to the residents.
Wow.
So, and if you study crop circles, again, nerd, they have identified the crop circles that have been made by human, but they can't justify all of the crop circles being made by human. They think some people have just decided to copy what was out there for notoriety, or just to even though they don't, it's not them that gets notarized, but it's the fact that their project gets notarized, and then it starts going, is this real or is this fake? So they get a charge out of doing that to try to fool the people, but they study the sorry, I'm going nerdy here for a second, Nona.
No, it's fine.
But they talk about the way the stalks were bent. Is there a radiation attraction to the base into the ground, where most likely a UFO would set down or push the grass down because it's most locations where there have been alien sightings or UFO sightings, there's always been a radiation signature. Someone walking out there with a piece of wood tied with a rope and doing all the stepping will not leave that signature. So that's kind of how they identify one way or the other on which one's real, which one's not, is by doing a soil sample, not just looking at the way the crop circles are laid out. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get really into it, try to research the soil samples, not just the circles themselves, and see what they come up with.
Great.
Let's see. I'm so far behind on messaging. I'm just kind of scrolling to see. Bible saying that she was a sleepwalker as a child, also a sleep talker. I guess I slept every once in a while, but I don't know how much.
I was a sleep talker too.
Yeah.
And that jogged a memory for me. Interesting. I forgot about that.
Zachy is saying, my mom and sis said when I walked, my eyes were open but crossed. And once I walked down to the shower and grabbed a bar of soap, and they say never wake up a sleepwalker. Yes, because it can be violent. That's just sleepwalkers. You're not supposed to wake up because it could be what state they're in and how they're going to come out of it. So, Virgil with another long one. Here we go. Virgil, my main area of interest is astrophysics. What has always fascinated me is the block universe theory, that all reality, including the future, exists now. I'm going to finish reading this, but then I'm going to talk to you about something really quick. Kind of like destiny. Your death has already happened. Your time car hasn't got you there yet. I make sense of this by thinking of the universe in a thought experiment of mine as a road with a beginning and an end, and time as a car you drive through it, but with no reverse gear. The faster you go, the less you age because of time dilation, which is interesting because time travel is very possible due to the fact that when you get closer to the center of a black hole, time speeds up. And once you get to that certain location, you actually hit that terminal velocity that takes you in. It's actually what's called the event horizon. And you can actually supposedly travel through time there at that point because time itself is being expanded. Again, nerdiness side of me coming out. So, but yeah, so it's interesting that you talk about that. But I was actually going to bring this up to you, Marty, to have a discussion about this. And Virgil gave me a great segue into this because I was going to ask your opinion on this. A while ago, I would say probably a month and a half, 2 months ago, I was out golfing with a couple of buddies, and one of our buddies told us, "Hey, I'm getting ready to go on a trip to Japan." He was going to go to Misawa with his son. And then a couple weeks later, he came back and told us all about his trip to Misawa with his son. Well, about 2 weeks ago, he said, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to go on my trip to Misawa." And we both went, "You already went on that trip." He's like, "What are you talking about?" And we're like, "We literally had this conversation about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and you were talking about the trip you went with your son to Misawa and what you did and where you went and everything else." He goes, "My trip's not until this week." So me and the other guy remember us talking to him about the trip he already went on, but he's saying, "I haven't even gone on it yet."
So you think it was like a Mandela effect, or you think it's some like?
It's so weird because I'm like, how do we already know about the trip you're about to go on that you told us about, but you haven't been on it yet? But yet you told us you've already been on it about a month ago. So.
And he told you specifics, like this is what we did, and this is where we went.
We visited this place, and we ate at this place, and I went ahead and picked up this. We went and saw family here.
Were there photos? Did he take any photos?
I don't know, but he did, because we didn't ask. Good question. But he talked all about it, and he talked about what a great time they had, and they went on the train, and they did all this stuff, and they visited all these different places. And I mean, he talked about it, and then all of a sudden, boom. He was like, "No, we're getting ready to go on this trip. Next week we leave." And I'm like, "But you just went on that." He goes, "What are you guys talking about?" We're like, "Dude." And like me and Aaron, my buddy Aaron, we were both like,
like, are you having a health event right now? Right. I mean, I would have been like, wait a second, hold up. Because
right.
Holy cow.
So yeah, it's very interesting. Virgil, you're telling me I only read half your question? That's all I see typed up to here. I ended with, "But with no reverse gear, the faster you go, the less you age because of time dilation." And that's literally all that typed up. So if there's more, you'll have to copy and paste it back in there because that's all that let fit into that area. But yeah, it's interesting though that we had that. And here's Virgil talking about kind of a time slip or something, along those lines. And I just had one of those with two of my buddies. And I was going to talk to you about it tonight.
Well, the funny thing is that like like things like that have happened to me, on a lot smaller scale though.
Yeah.
But I mean, like then, as a matter of fact, like the night that we were with Jessica, it was almost like it took us 40 minutes to get to the top of that mountain. 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow it only took us 10 minutes to get down.
She talked to me about this. I didn't know you were there. She talked to me about this. And I was like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah." She goes, "We don't know what happened to that time frame.
We have no idea."
Yeah.
So it just, it was like, it's just blank. It's just blank.
Yeah, because she talked about that to me. Sorry, I had to put something in my mouth.
Yeah, but it was kind of like, I mean, we're coming, and it's such a treacherous one-lane service road. This like one-lane service road to get up there and back.
That's what it was talking about.
And it's like this the whole time. And you're like going around sharp corners and you're coming. Yeah, it was really scary. And we're on the way down. And the last thing I remember, like we were coming around a corner and Matt and I were in the front. I was driving. Jessica was in the back. And as the headlights came, we come around a corner and they swung this way. Matt and I saw at the same time, we saw this big, huge black figure standing over off the side of the road. Like, and when I say off the side of the road, I mean, whatever it was standing off the road.
Yep.
But it was big, it was massive, but it wasn't a Sasquatch. I can tell you that. I don't know what it was, but we both literally, Matt was like, did you see that? And I'm like, yes, I saw that. What was that? And then I'm freaking out. He's freaking out. And Jessica's like, what? And then Matt goes, it's okay though. Wait, we're down. We're down.
Yeah.
We're off. We're down. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? What? Wait, we're not.
Right.
We can't be. We just left. That's no. Like I recognized it right away. I had to convince the other two of them to go. Something's off.
Yeah.
Something's wrong here. We just left. There's no way. There's no way we're down the. There's no way we're off the mountain right now.
Well, and it's really interesting because was that something that for you it was a 10-minute thought, but because you had to convince them, so they felt it as a whole 40 minutes. So, maybe there's something.
It was weird.
I mean, especially since you're all together, if you're only seeing 10 minutes, but they're feeling like it's a whole 40 minutes. How does that happen?
Realize like after I said to them, whoa, hold up here, wait a second, this can't be possible. Right. And then they both were like, oh my gosh, yeah,
you're right.
Look, oh yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
It was crazy.
That would be really interesting. Yeah. And I mean, that's like, and Rosie's saying it's like when you drive down a road and then find yourself at your destination, but don't remember getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's exactly what it, and for me, I just call that autopilot because I do that every day when I go to work.
Well, see, but that's the thing with this incident, though. There was no way for me to be on autopilot.
Right. Because
the road was so bad.
Yeah.
There were many times on that 40-minute drive up there. Like the bottom of my car was bottoming out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, we were going super, super, super slow. So it was kind of like.
Right. And then 10 minutes later, you're down the hill.
Yeah.
Magic.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, Zachy, I know. Too bad the conversation wasn't recorded. I know. That's terrible. So, Virgil, just so you know, this is what I did read the whole thing of. It's the same thing you copied and pasted before. I did read the whole thing. If I'm missing part of your conversation, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. But this is what started this whole conversation off, was me reading this. Primal saying simultaneous time. And then Rosie's saying sometimes time ceases to exist or time stops. And so it's interesting because I talked before with someone about the fact that there have been reports of someone who has, let's say, driven home, like they live in another city, but they drive to their hometown, and they have done it numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
And one time they come off they're driving down the road and they know there's a town there. And when they drive into the town, it's the same town, but it's almost like it slipped dimensions because they sit so close together that when they drive through, everything is exactly the same, but the people don't look like people. So they get scared and they get out. And when they end up on the other side, they're back in their dimension. They're back in their own road. But they said they noticed something was different. Like when they started heading into town, all of a sudden the road changed colors. Like it went from like a concrete to an asphalt, like a dark to a light. And then when they got to the side, it went back to a dark. So there was something there. And then when they drove back through, everything was perfectly normal. Like when they left their hometown to go back to their house, everything was perfectly normal. And they're like, how did that happen? And to me, that's an interdimensional travel type thing that I discussed a couple of times on the show for, when I do the nerdy thing again, like normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of things that happen that way. So, and there's a lot of recordings out there. There's a lot of recounts, people just telling their stories of this all over the place. So it's interesting how we miss time. My friend telling the story about something that we thought already happened. Now he's saying it's going on it now. And I always thought, sometimes I read it and I'm like, oh yeah, that belongs in one of those magazines. And then now my buddy's doing it to us. And he's like, no, we have not had this conversation. I'm like, we have had this conversation. And I have his brother to back me up on it. So
yeah, so I'm curious, did he take did he show you guys the photos? Look, no, I went on this trip and look what we did, and here's our photos.
We were out golfing, and he was just and Aaron goes, "How was your trip to Misawa. And Gary's like, oh, it was great. We did this. And we're driving golf carts. We're golfing. So we didn't stop to look at pictures. He just told us all about it. How him and his son had a great time.
Oh my
and then this last weekend, I golfed with him Saturday, and he's supposed to be going this week to Misawa. And we're like, but you've already done this. He's like, what are you guys talking about? So.
Yeah, because like if it was just one conversation between you and him.
Right. But then
there were witnesses.
But then we're here. But now we're here, and me and Aaron had the exact memory of the exact same conversation. And he has no recollection of that conversation whatsoever because he said it hasn't happened yet.
That's wild.
So, yeah, it's a little interesting.
Wild. That's...
yeah. So earlier, Stuart is talking about missing time, look for an alien implant. And Rosie's saying, I wonder if they show up on an X-ray or a CT scan or MRIs.
I believe I have an implant.
And Stuart says they do seem to be removed from people, organic iron and organic material.
And I will show you what I did come back with. I said the night that it happened to us, I had said we got back to camp. And Matt kind of like videotaped us kind of giving each one of our perspectives as to what happened. And Matt, I said, like, I think on camera, we need to check our bodies for any marks before, like, we need to do that.
Right.
And they were both like, yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah.
And then we never did.
Right.
And then when I got home, hang on one second. I'll have to hang on 1 minute. Okay, hang on 1 second.
So while you're looking that up, I'm going to read the second half of this question because Nikki found it and typed it up. And it says, anyways, the question is, can we be visited by today's from the future? I would just add block universe theory is supported by the Einstein theory of special relativity as opposed to presentism. Any thoughts on this? Or any thoughts, guys, on this? So, I know you're looking for a picture.
I am. Hold on.
That's fine.
I gotta send it to my computer.
So, Virgil, I actually talk about this before when we talk about us visiting us from another location or another time frame or another dimension where it slips between us because they travel so close together that sometimes. And I the way I explain it is, they always show that picture of someone back. Bless you. Someone back in the 50s or 60s, and they're standing in a group photo, and one of them's holding a cell phone. How is that possible? And I tell people that's a travel. That's either an interdimensional or a time. That is not photoshopped because it's too hard to Photoshop that in, and they've identified that as not being photoshopped. And I believe it's a time slip or an interdimensional travel, which is our world just at another location, like a parallel universe. So, so that's my thought process on that.
All right. So I guess, all right. So I have to, I think, share it, and then you have to add it, right?
I believe so.
Hang on. So when I got home, this is what was, yeah. So this is the marks that were on my arm. And the two that you see that are like in line with each other on the side, those are just, those were not part of it. It was just these, like in that little like kind of triangle area. Yeah. So it was just that grouping. Now, somebody else that I know, a friend of mine, saw that and he said, wow, that looks like a constellation, but
that's exactly what I thought.
So look at this. So he took my photo. So he took my photo, and it's Capricorn.
Oh, well, there you go. So yeah, that's the overlay right there. So yeah.
Weird, right?
And Jason says that's just what I was gonna say. It was Capricorn. So
yeah. So let me share one more photo from that trip though.
Okay.
This is a fun one.
And oh, hey Jason, by the way, hi. And then Primal is saying some implants are not in the physical realm. So, and Stuart is saying for your throat, honey and lemon.
That's what I'm drinking right now. Honey and lemon.
I know we're having like 3 conversations right now, and I understand, but these are all squirrel moments that are expected on my show. So,
and this is the fun part. This is the part I love. I love this.
What happens on my show when all these conversations happen at once? We try to really try to figure them out, but good luck.
So this is the 3 of us. This is our campground. This is where we camped at. If you look between the 2 trees, dead center in the middle, right behind my head in the back, it's a portal.
You know what? Jessica shared this picture with me and she said, "What do you see?" And I said, "A portal." Ask her about that. It was right after I had her on my show. And she showed me this picture and she goes, "What do you see?" And I go, "There's a portal right in the center." And she's like, "You can see that?" I go, "Absolutely." And she goes, "How can you see that?" I go, "Because to me, it's clear. I can see portals and it's as clear as day." And she's like, "How can you do that?" And I go, "Because I can actually see the roundness of it up in the higher part. And then I can see how it kind of, it almost looks like a column coming down." And she's like, "You can see that?" I go, "I can absolutely see that." And she's like, "Okay."
Because none of us saw it in the photo.
Yeah.
And then Matt posted it. He posted it, I think, to his community tab or something, some photos of us. And somebody else said, "Hey man, there's a portal behind you guys." And Matt's like, "What?" And yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So
fun weekend.
So Virgil said, "I drove home one night drunk and I told the judge it was time dilation. He didn't believe me. I was banned from driving for 2 years and got a 390 quid fine."
Oh man.
Hey, it was worth a shot, let me tell you.
That's right. Hi, Gary. Mr. Gary Spike Sr.
Nikki's saying, "I actually saw someone on a show talk about this. I was wondering if we can talk to spirits that are from the future." And that is, now I have my own thought process on that one. I have a hard time thinking we can. Because if we're talking to spirits from the future, they're not spirit yet.
Right.
So I don't think we can talk to spirit from the future. Now, if we are talking to spirits that are talking to us from the future that have already passed, then yes. But I don't think we can talk to spirit that is not a spirit yet from the future.
Okay, so but if we were to be in alignment with the thought of reincarnation,
right?
Maybe then that's possible. Because that spirit is just going to keep coming back and keep coming back. Wait, nah, that doesn't work either.
Yeah. So my thought process on that was because it was, if it's a spirit that is already passed, but it is in its future dimension and it comes back to talk to us, then yes.
Yeah.
But if the spirit has not passed yet, then it's not a spirit
therefore it can't
to talk to us.
Yeah. Yes, right. You're right. See, I told you I'm not as smart as you think I am.
My brain has to work.
I'm all like, wait a minute, let me work it out.
And Rosie's saying, "You know what, Nikki, is probably your higher self," which is possible. So, hi Gary. Sorry, I finally got down to your hi Tom and hi Marty. Sorry. I told you
I just looked over and I saw he was there.
Yeah, well, he was answering.
He is a super fan. He's a super fan of mine.
Good. Well, welcome.
Gary has never, ever missed one show.
That is fantastic. Good on you, Gary. And I, you know what? If I had if I did not travel as much as I did, I probably wouldn't miss one of her shows either. So Jean's saying hi to you as well.
Jean, hi, Jean. You're there too. Jean and Gary together.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And Stuart, you're absolutely right. This is
They are bestest of buddies.
This
and
is the Squirrel Nation. Absolutely.
Yes, the Squirrel Nation.
Look,
I bug Tom sometimes because I'll come in the chat and I'll be like typing squirrels, I'll be putting squirrel emojis.
It's fantastic. I wouldn't expect anything less. And when you had the picture up of the portal, the stuff far behind on my comments, Stuart said it's so prevalent, even I think I can see it. So yeah, it sticks out there pretty far.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Yeah. And Jason, that's basically in a roundabout way what I said. They're just talking to us from their past. Yes. I think that's how that works. But yeah, it's interesting how so I have the same belief that Jessica does, and I want to know your opinion on this. Sasquatch, Yeti, Bigfoot, blah, 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 whatever you want to call them, from all the different locations, not of this realm. Portal walkers to get between locations.
I definitely believe that. I definitely feel like that they can choose to do it.
Yes.
And I think that it's a matter of...
And I explained to her, because she's like, well, what is your thought? I go, this is why I think we have never actually found a skeleton, a body, anything, is because if they do happen to pass here, then their family, their community, whatever else will come and get them and bring them back to where they belong, where they're from. Because I believe they do some form of death ritual just like we do. Cemetery, cremation, whatever else. They have that same sense of appreciation for life and death. And so they honor the dead just like we do. So Rosie's like Predator. So pretty much.
Well, I mean, it's not.
I think they can't. I think they realm walk. I think they just portal walk. I think if they want to come here, it's almost like they have their own personal wormholes to walk and go to different locations.
Yes, so, I think that's true. That's true. But I also don't think that portals are in every single nook and cranny. Like,
I don't either.
I feel like that it's more, like they would have to travel to a destination to use a portal to go to wherever. Like but it's just my personal belief. I can't prove a doggone thing. Right. I can't prove any of it.
But I'm the same way. I don't think that they can just readily open up something in their bedroom and go, look. Yeah. I think it has to be, it is.
It makes sense though, because time and time again, we hear encounter after encounter. I was tracking it and the tracks just stop. Yeah.
And I think that, and I think that's why we have the different species. That's why we have Sasquatch. That's why we have Yeti. That's why we have Bigfoots, because their portals lead them to certain locations in our world. And that's their location they can get to, because that's where the portal opens up to, or that's where they can travel to. But they can't just they can't just randomly say, hey, today I want to go over to Indiana, or I want to go to Georgia and go hang out with Jessica and Marty. I can only go to this location through this portal. It doesn't let me it doesn't let me pick and choose where I go. That's just where it goes. I mean, our highways only take us to certain locations. And their wormholes are just advanced highway systems that take them to certain locations. So
it makes it just that that thought process. It just, for me, makes sense. It makes sense to me.
Yep. So Primal's saying they can open a portal on a whim. So there's the rub. I believe they can open a portal on a whim, but that portal can only take them to a certain location. And I think that's why footsteps stop, because if they are being tracked, they can open the portal to escape, but it always takes them back to the other location that they came from, where that portal leads them to. So
But see, and I believe that a lot of the stick structures and a lot of these other structures that we're finding, and I don't just mean, and when I say stick structures, I don't just mean like the teepee looking kind. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
not just the tree twist, snap, break things. There are a lot of other structures. There's, several other researchers down here in Florida have been finding these things that are, one team describes them as an asterisk type shape. They are low to the ground, and yet when you look down on them, they look all these sticks, and they're like an asterisk looking kind of thing. They're finding them near water. They're always near water. So it's kind of like, are these some of these stick structures we're finding, and some of these intricately made designs in specific certain places, and are these to tell them, hey, I don't know, maybe there's a portal here someplace. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they are or what they're for, but it makes sense because water, water is always,
it's always a conduit.
Always a conduit, always able to draw energy and use that, so it's, so many things we can.
Let me go into some of these comments really quick, and then I want to come back to that because I have a really good question to ask that's going to make you go. Okay. But Janet is saying she's seen things standing beside trees, duck behind, and gone. She's checked; they're gone. Virgil is saying that squirrels are cute little critters, but his grandmother, who was registered insane, said they were tree devils.
Now, if I can just say something about the tree thing.
Absolutely.
So I will say this, Janet. It was Janet, right? I think it was Janet.
Yeah, Janet Martin.
Yeah. Okay. So with the tree thing, I have seen, as a matter of fact, there's a specific footage by Paul Freeman, one of his pieces of footage. You don't see the Sasquatch, you don't see it until in the footage until it's moving. When it stops, it's like it disappears. When he begins to move again, that's when you see it again. And we're talking black Sasquatch, green background. Yeah. He stops in the middle, not behind a tree, literally in the open. He stops. It's like he stops, turns, and just like he's still, and then he starts to move again. And that's when you see it. So sometimes I think, and I believe that because of their hair, I do believe that their hair is able to pick up light in certain ways and pick up the color of the things that are around them. I do believe they have that attribute about them. I do believe that. Well, and Matt and I have proof of it. We actually have hair that you can go to Matt's channel, Strange South Florida, and go and check it out. I mean, he shows it, up close under a microscope, what they look like. Some of them are red, some of them are green, some of them are absolutely clear. They pick up all kinds of light. Some of them go from like red to green to white, from white to black to brown to auburn. Like, they're all these different colors. Yeah. So I think that there are times when they do that, or Sasquatch. I don't know about, other elementals or beings or whatever, but I think that there are times when they do kind of do that stop thing and they stand still, and we're just not able to see it because our eyes don't work off of light spectrum. Our eyes they literally work off of movement. That's what attracts our eyes. It's like a light refraction. It's yes. And that I think that goes back to Rose's comment that I posted, light predator. If you've watched the movie Predator, when it pushes that little button, it blends in with the surroundings. It's a light refraction that it's having, so that way it blends in with everything around it. Zachy says the only
Sasquatch experience he had is from the Jack Link's jerky advertisements, but he finds it fascinating from listening and following his peeps.
Check this out. Zachy, hold that thought.
Oh, see what you guys did? You broke her. She just got up and left. That is awesome.
He's the Jack Link's Bigfoot.
He is. Absolutely. You can see it.
You believe that? I want it in a raffle at a conference.
Yeah. That is amazing.
Does he have it? Is he haunted? You think he's haunted?
He's not haunted.
Oh,
No.
thank God.
No, he's not.
Okay. All right.
So Gene also states, if you want to know about stick structures and glyphs, then get Janice Carter on. She even knows their language. So there's another person we can talk to. Stuart is saying, Exhibition Bigfoot has had several structures and shown where a Bigfoot crossed an area. You couldn't see them, but their shadows showed up against the cliff behind them.
Look.
So that would be the light refraction again. If they're
No, that happened at nighttime.
Oh, interesting.
And the only thing that was between them, it was like they were standing on this like a side. Because listen, I watch every single episode probably more than once. But it's like I don't know. That particular piece of evidence, I'm not so sure about. Not that I think that they faked it. It did not. I don't know. I still think that there was maybe somebody from the production crew or the film crew that could have accidentally caused that shadow. I'm not saying they faked it. I'm just saying
it could have been something else.
Yeah, there was a whole, you know what I mean? It's not like there's two people out there in the woods by themselves with camcorders, just, filming each other.
A whole crew doing
There's a whole entourage. Yep. And when you see the shadow kind of pass by, to me, it just looks very human. It doesn't appear to have the gliding kind of movement.
The gait, yep.
It doesn't seem to have that, I don't know. That's just me. I don't know. That's my critique. But
Jason said he misses Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah.
And Zachy said it's not haunted because it didn't make him freak out.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Then I won't show you my haunted doll I just got.
Oh, I think Rosie's getting ready to go. Thanks, Rosie. Thanks for popping in.
Thank you, Rosie.
Appreciate it.
Fantastic seeing you.
Yeah.
Or at least I think she's haunted. I don't know if she's haunted. I don't know for sure. I just know that I don't know.
Is that the one that we've been talking about? And then when I talk, it sets off your machine?
Yes. It's been doing it this whole time. Don't you see me going like this? Like
I have. I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I can't help it's just
says I do not like dolls.
Well, she doesn't look creepy. That's the thing. Like, she's actually a very pretty doll. And she actually is a collectible. And that's like, it's not like I went like to go find a haunted doll.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, I saw her, my daughter-in-law and I went to went into this thrift store, and it was like, I looked up and I just saw these two dolls by themselves, like up on the shelf. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at those dolls. And I'm just kind of like looking at them, and I'm like, oh, I wonder.
Look at that comment.
If it's.
No, listen, I left the show last night too. Took the doll off.
Till you took the doll off.
Gene's like, nope.
Gene's like, nope, not doing it. Yeah, but here's the weird thing though. Like, I don't feel anything negative from her at all in any way. It's like, I'm not feeling, it's either, I don't know. She has an energy. She definitely has an energy. It doesn't feel negative to me.
Yeah. So the people, what people don't know is our kind of side conversation there was, when before the show started, you showed that you have a K2 meter and it goes off, and then when the doll goes, and for some reason when I talked, the K2 meter would go off, like the doll was reacting to my voice or to what I was saying. So, so somehow I don't know why the doll either likes me or does not like me, but it reacts to me. So,
yeah,
which is very interesting. And I don't feel anything negative off it. I haven't seen it. I still don't feel anything negative off of it. So, so Stuart's claiming that I'm haunted. And Nikki said, "No, I'm not. Not in my house." And Gene says that no, that doll is not normal. Jason's coming back with they have a few haunted dolls.
That doll's not normal.
Yeah, that doll's not normal. Primal saying she has seen 3. Oh, where does that message go? Excuse me. 3 Sasquatch moved through the house, even though it was dark, and they weren't in physical form. After that, we had to set some boundaries. Oh, I'm sure.
Words have power. Don't forget that.
Me too. And now Zacky's saying maybe it was Tom's doll in a previous life. Never know. Never know what's going on.
Oh, that's so funny.
Recognizes me.
Yeah. Well, the hard thing is that, like, because I don't have the abilities that you have, I have to rely on tools like the K2 meter or like a spirit box or something like that. And for me, like true spirit boxes, I have hearing issues, right? My hearing is not very good at all in either one of my ears. Don't know why.
Yeah.
But I don't hear very, very well. So it's tones. It's issue with the tone, right? I can hear certain tones and certain pitches and others I can't. So trying to use an actual spirit box is very difficult for me to do unless I have got headphones on. I mean, it's a whole process.
Yep.
So I'll use like the Spirit Talker app or whatever, but I'm not saying anything bad about these apps, guys. I'm not, but I definitely am not 100% sure that they actually work. I do believe that they're more entertainment than anything else.
I will tell people, remember this thing, this wonderful thing we have right here is a phone. The apps are built and they don't have the same ability to work as if they built a product out of nothing to do what they're supposed to do. Anyone can build an app and call it something.
Yeah. But the K2 meter is very different. It works on movement. It works on energy. It's a completely different thing.
And that's what it's designed for. Yes.
So that's why I use that than anything else.
Yeah. So I still want to go back to my comment I wanted to make a while ago. But, but I have 2 comments here really quick. Jason said, you should see people's expressions when grown men go to an antique store with a K2 meter and buy dolls. Right? And then Janet said, I asked a tribe member about some of the things I've seen here, and she asked, what feelings did I get? I said nothing bad. So good. So we have nothing bad. Now, I want to go back, way back when, to another time when we talked about when you said, when you look down at the ground and you see an asterisk or a star or something of that shape, that could help identify something that maybe this is an entrance to a portal or maybe this is some kind of marking or whatever else. Now, my question is the power for that portal built into that location or built into that design? Because what happens if you very, very carefully and meticulously take that design from where it is, sticks and all, whatever it's made out of, and move it to another location, does that now become the new portal location, or does the portal location stay where the asterisk was, and now it's just not a marker so people don't know where it is, or things don't know where it is?
All really good questions.
See, I told you this was going to be a good one.
But here's the thing, though. But here's what I can tell you. Like, because I personally have never found one. I have not come across one yet.
Right.
But the team that has come across them, I think last I heard, I think they have found 6 of them in different areas of Florida.
Yeah.
So they got to mean something.
Right. And Jean is saying
and they're always by water.
Yeah. And Jean is saying she believes portals are on ley lines.
Yeah, I think ley lines have something to do with that. But I will say, I think I want to say though that they said that I think they put a compass on one or near one or something, and that it was that they're all facing the same direction or something.
They all face true north.
Yes.
They all face true north. The basically the gravitational pull from the Earth to where it goes does not affect where they are. They always point to a true north.
Wild.
Yeah, and it has also been discussed, if it always points true north, does it always point to the North Star? Does it have to do with the constellations? Well, we're back to that again. Because a lot of the markings on the ley lines are expected to be alien notification to where to land or where to meet them at or whatever else. So Stuart, I know you're saying true north or magnetic. It's not magnetic north because they're not affected by the magnetic pull. So it's a true north reading. The magnetic pull does not affect them. So it's a true north reading. And so it's discussed that, is that a constellation or is that an alien technology that allows that to happen? And if portals are associated with alien or other realms, then that would make a lot of sense why they always...
A little connection there.
Correct. There's your little connection right there. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how that works, in theory, per discussions. Again, I've had way too nerdy to...
No, I love it though. Because we always should, and I talk about this a lot on my channel. We can't just take everything at face value.
Yeah, true.
There has to be some thought put into things, and there needs to be questions that are asked.
Yes.
Ask questions.
Right. You can't take things for face value. Your first job or your first thought process is, how can I debunk this?
Yes. That is the first place it should go.
Yes.
And every time you see that blurry photo, people on Facebook,
yep.
don't please, if I see anybody in this chat that's in here tonight, to be the first person who makes an amazing comment on a photo you know nothing about, don't do it.
Right.
Ask a question. I don't care what it is. Ask them what kind of camera they took it on. Ask them.
Use a flash?
Ask them. Yes. Ask them the conditions. Ask them where did the photo come from? Is it your photo, or are you reposting someone else's stuff? Because I find that a lot. People repurpose other people's photos over and over and over, and then nobody knows where anything came from. And by that point, I'm asking for a chain of custody.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
I want to know I want to know where that photo came from and what kind of camera and what's the metadata. And please ask questions, please. Right. And this is my biggest point, because now we have AI.
Yep.
And I'm telling you right now, I tried an app, an AI app. I plugged in 10 selfies. Yeah. It gave me 200 photos in 12 minutes. And I'm just like, holy cow. Yeah. I mean.
And you can put yourself absolutely anywhere with those photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I did a vacation one. I chose a vacation, and it's got me. Oh, yeah. I'm like, so please, guys, start asking questions. Ask them. There's nothing wrong. You're not being rude. You're not being mean. It's not being, from my perspective, I feel like we have a responsibility now to ask the questions.
Yep. And that's why Jason says we over question everything we have ever posted on our YouTube channel, which is why we are so proud of the evidence we have put out there. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Gene says Joe Rogan put a trail cam video up on his channel. Look at that bear. Wow, biggest bear, and you can tell it is not real, right? So that kind of happens.
And Stuart, if you want a copy of the photo, you can reach out to me on Facebook, but not until you go and subscribe to my channel.
Haha! Take that, Stuart. You get nothing for free here, young man. So, but I think that's a good place to leave it. We've been doing this for an hour and a half. I told you this is going to go by so fast. We've been doing this for an hour and a half. You are definitely going to be a return guest on my show.
I hope.
Oh, definitely.
Anytime.
Yeah, and so I think I'm going to call it a night. But thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you for having me.
Glad we finally got to do this.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, and I really appreciate the audience for their involvement. They were fantastic, asking questions, making comments, putting their knowledge into it as well is fantastic. This is why I love the audience so well. I literally call my audience my family because they're so good at this. Yep. And this is why the show runs. So yes, that's kind of where it goes. Zachy says show off the doll next time with the EMF.
Okay.
So
or you could go check out my TikTok. I have a few videos put up.
Yeah. Gene says, glad I was in between laundry loads when I seen it was so listening for a while. So it was fantastic. Thank you all for coming on. The new people here, welcome. I hope you continue to come back. Primal, thank you very much. But for those who, once again, for those who are in late or whatever else, let's go ahead and throw this back out there. See all this information?
Yep.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Go like, follow, share. Go, like I said, if you need to listen to something in the morning and you need some advice or you just need to hear a conversation happening about what's going on.
Yeah.
Go out there.
Well, even like especially on Facebook and my Instagram, I know the last couple of weeks I haven't been doing it, but I try to post something positive every single day.
Every day. Yep. That's what I said.
I'm a big like positivity like thing, it's my thing.
And that's exactly why I'm trying to tell them. I mean, I know because I've seen that from you before that you do that you post something positive in the morning. And I know there's a couple other places that people do that as well. But why not? If you know what, guess what? Sometimes one's just not enough. And maybe you're getting to one and you're like, you know what? This person just doesn't resonate with me. But Marty did tonight. Go check out Marty. Yeah. And for those people who, because I'm going to turn this off really quick, this hold down here, for anybody who wants this information, it is at the very beginning of the chats, of the comment section. So if you go out there and you want to see where you can find Marty at, just go out to the beginning of the conversation. You can do that as well. I'm going to let you go. I'm just going to put you backstage. So hang out and I'll come see you.
Good night, everybody.
Again, thank you for coming on and I will talk to you in a second.
Okay.
All right, everyone, that's my show. So, bad news is the fact that this is my last show for almost till the end of July. I am not going to do a show for 4th of July or 3rd of July because my wife and I will be celebrating our 7th wedding anniversary. And then 2 weeks after that, I'm going to be in Okinawa, Japan. And I am not going to try to run a show for a place that is 17 hours ahead of us. So I am going to be taking that time off in July. We will be traveling, or I will be traveling that whole time. But I will have a show coming up. As always, I don't remember it by heart, so I have to look at this funny phone thing. Let's see when my next show is. Of course, I will post this as I always do too, so everyone knows. 24th of July, I am back. With the Etta Renee. So she will be on my show. She is absolutely wonderful too. So I will be bringing her on, like I said, basically a month. Today's the 26th of June. My next show will be July 24th. So in the meantime, as always, everybody stay safe. Don't blow your fingers off on 4th of July. Don't blow other people's fingers off on 4th of July. Party responsibly. I want to see everybody back, plus some if you decide to bring friends and family along to say hi. I always appreciate that. If you have anything for me, drop me a line. Here's all my information, as a matter of fact, right here. Facebook.com, Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook.com. Twitch, I am at Stuff I Never Learned. YouTube, I am at YouTube at Stuff I Never Learned. And if you're looking for me as an email, it is literally stuffineverlearned@gmail.com. So feel free to drop me a line, do whatever you want, say hi, ask me how my day's going, see how my trip is out in Japan, see if I'm still alive, all that wonderful stuff. And I will be sure to get back to you because I'm really good about responding to emails. Other than that, have a great, basically next month. I love you all. Have a great whatever, and I will talk to you again later.